I'll clarify and specify.
Mm-hmm.
When the idea was brought up, did you actively oppose the idea of murdering Johnny Devine?
There was a lot of spiraling. I don't remember everything that was said over the course of an hour.
Okay. I'll take that as a no. So you said we asked him to
I
bring a
never said
sniper?
no.
No, I know you didn't, but you can't say yes or no for some reason, so I'm going to take it as a no.
I may have taken a piss. I might have pooped during that hour. There's a lot of things that may have transpired.
Right, that's fine. So you said we asked him to bring a sniper rifle. Who exactly?
Axel brought up the idea originally. Bringing equipment, getting kitted out, all kinds of things. There was a lot of ideas that were thrown out over that course of an hour.
How did Axel know that Bundy had a sniper rifle from before he was commissioner?
I brought that up, and that
You brought up Bundy sniper?
Yes.
Okay, and who phoned Bundy?
Sorry,
and
I
asked him?
have one more question. Sorry. Did Bundy refer to it as a Sierra unit or something?
I don't think so. I feel like that's the first time I've heard that.
Yeah, same. All right, go ahead, Dark.
Yeah, so, as far as I'm aware, Bundy wasn't there at the time, so who called Bundy and asked him about the sniper rifle?
The way that transpired was, in fact, Bundy may have brought it up himself.
Nope.
So Bundy being a member of the MCU, also, I believe a member of Aegis, I'd asked him to join us since he knew a good deal about the operation at this stage. And he was asked to accompany us, and either he brought it up first or I brought it up first. I can't say, but the idea of a sniper came into play before Bundy was even called down. He may have been made aware of the idea of bringing snipers, and then he just brought it up on his own accord. In fact, I think it's more likely he brought it up, because that would not have been my first thought.
Whose idea was it to extradite Devine? Do you recall?
Between Bundy and myself. I believe I brought up the idea and he did the paperwork. With the second one.
Do I want to ask these questions yet?
Like I said, there was a lot of spiraling and a lot of workshopping ideas of how to handle this situation.
Okay, and what was Devine being extradited for?
Well, I can read exactly.
You don't have to. You can just tell me if you know. That's fine.
Well, I'd rather pull this up just so I'm more accurate. To the Legion of Iniquity, Sanguine Isle, from Brian Knight, Aegis representative, Jeffrey Bundy, Aegis legal representative. Pursuant to legislation number 80606, the treaty between Sanguine Isle and the state of San Andreas, Aegis, operating on behalf of the Department of Justice of the state of San Andreas, provides notice to the Legion of Iniquity of their intent to extradite Johnny Devine from Sanguine Isle for charges faced in the state of San Andreas under arrest warrant and order. As for the particular, this is in relation to Johnny Devine's attempted murder of Dundee, and what followed suit was a delayed charging on there was going to be like a delayed charge, and it was going to be handled that way.
Yeah,
that's my understanding.
That makes sense. Okay. So what were the charges that were pushed against Devine at that time?
Are you asking if there was a warrant?
Yeah. So you said there was charges pending in the extradition order. What charges were pending?
Attempted murder.
And there was a warrant written for Johnny Devine at the time.
There wouldn't need to be.
No, but on the extradition order, they said there was a warrant.
Pending orders and warrants are two separate things.
No, you said on the extradition order.
Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but this honestly was not on Brian. There was some stuff going on with Divine with regards to what had happened. Myself and Malton were privy to some information. I'm not sure who else was looped in, but essentially, Divine had just to give you all context. Divine
I know the context, but
was at
still.
the grave of Sam Bass, and Erwin Dundee walked up and started urinating on the grave in front of him.
Not the urination.
Divine was not in a good mental state. He was there with Juno Sweeney. He pulled out a gun and he shot Erwin Dundee. At that point, he called 911 for medical attention, and he left. And he called Malton, I believe. I'm not entirely sure, like exactly how everything transpired, but I do know that he was fully wanting to cooperate with everything, but the concern was at the time if he got arrested, his affidavit would be called into question. He was concerned about all that, and he ended
Oh
up
god, this is not
fleeing
good.
to Sanguine Isle
That's even worse.
and go back to his operation. At that point, he hadn't been
Hold on.
compromised yet.
He willingly
The intention
delayed
was after the war,
charges
he had,
to
waived the
ensure
statute of limitations.
affidavit.
He said that after everything was said and done, he would turn himself in for that attempted murder.
I must say, affidavit wasn't.
Obviously, that was
into
not
question.
ideal. We can't just let someone leave the state when they have a warrant for their arrest. I realized that the warrant was not written up at the time, but there were factors at play that could have impacted the investigation
So
that had been going on.
She's on about the
months at this
MDW
point in time.
changes, I think.
We had to make a decision whether or not to cause that to happen, and that was why he was wanted for arrest. I don't want to put that on Brian. I don't want that to be his fault.
Okay, I understand. I appreciate the context there, so thank you.
Yeah, I'm sorry you guys weren't looped in on that. Communication about everything pertaining to Divine, I would like to apologize to you guys on that because I knew a lot more than you did. I was under the impression that you did know at the time.
Nope.
I was staying as far out of it as I could because of my relationship to Divine. And I was expressing everything that I could to Malton, who I knew was involved and knew about the operation.
So there's more sergeants involved in this situation that know shit that
My
High
impression
Command
at the
don't.
time was that we were trying to limit the amount of people who knew. And when I initially was informed about the operation to begin with, it was, to my knowledge, myself, Bass, and Divine were like the only people who knew. And then later I found out that, 20 people were informed about it, but not High Command, which was not acceptable. And
I do have a follow-up
obviously
question.
that's been dealt with, but I just want you guys to understand that that is not how things should have been handled.
I appreciate that. I am going to ask a couple follow-up questions, but obviously Tessa, stop me if you think...
may I add something to that real quick?
Sure.
I, even as I want to make this, I'm not sure if this is known, but Operation Ragnarok, I was not involved for the first month or two. I got pulled in, was told that there was only 4 individuals.
Even I don't agree with that.
That were privy to it, and that I needed to maintain utmost secrecy, limited to Sam Bass, Molten,
What the fuck is
And I
Malton?
believe Svensson, but even I don't remember if that was the original name.
You saying
And
that I knew?
The name that
I
you said
believe so.
when we were here after the Shelby panel, you said it was Toretti. And
I had no
Malton
idea.
was
Toretti.
Bass. It was,
It was
Han
probably
Velsing,
Toretti,
perhaps?
No, I didn't find that out afterwards. So the initial, I know it was Sam, that it was Sam Bass Bolton, and I think Toretti was probably the name. That it was limited to that number. Everything needed to be operationally secure, and that no one else was to know, to be spoken of, et cetera, et cetera. And as like the weeks followed, it turned out more people knew, but knew different things. In fact, I didn't know about like I didn't know till that last panel that Stubble even knew, and prior to that panel, I didn't know like Juno or it. Even in regards to this warrant, I didn't know everything. I was just
This
operating
RP's
based
so
on
good,
the
chat.
information I was given.
Honestly, I feel like I've been given a whole tub of salted popcorn, man, and I'm fucking munching. Okay. I guess when it comes to the extradition, was there an intent to actually charge Divine once he was extradited from Sanguine? Or was the intent more just to get him out and get him safe? I could ask a more specific question. What was the intent of the extradition order?
I would definitely say his safety, first and foremost.
Okay.
And then secondly would have been the charging. And this decision was made in collaboration with both the chairman and the commissioner.
I just have to clarify because it is murky here. So before the idea of extradition was brought up, one of the ideas was to kill Divine. And then when the extradition happened, only then was the concern his safety and not the information he could leak.
That was always the primary objective, his safety.
Okay. I'm not gonna ask any more questions on that.
It's if this resonates better, it's the very reason we had 4 to 5 negotiation attempts with the Sanguinians. Obviously, no one wants to go to take lives. No one wants. Oh God! I just had a bit of a headache. Is everyone good? Can you hear me?
Yeah,
I'm okay.
Yeah, we can hear you.
It's like with any operation, whether the military operation over in Sanguine or even how we operate here, safety is always the first option. When a suspect is in custody, but that has always been the goal from the very start. That doesn't preclude us from operating under the belief that other measures may need to be taken. But as stated previously, I don't think sniping Divine was ever a material, it was never a real option on the table to begin with. And I think the note that Tessa made in regards to it potentially being a joke or whatever, I can see where she's coming from, because I don't see when that would have actually been something that would have been done or executed.
Okay. Does anyone have any further questions for Brian about the, I guess, 811?
I no, I don't.
Same
I
traffic.
don't either.
Okay. Hold on, let me check. I've asked you about the extradition. I understand that. So since 811 and everything going on, you, I guess at what point did you believe that Divine had defected?
Ooh. I don't think we ever fully Oof. Look, the divine's been a gray area. Answering that question in a binary would be very difficult. I
Yeah.
think knowing where his full allegiance lied was never based on that phone call that he gave me. I knew that he was wanted to maintain operational integrity. However, him being kept alive by Jaeger, and subsequently transported without him being hurt and effectively, what we now know, put into hiding by him, provided a more complicated scenario where his primary objective has now become survival. Survival to what ends was unknown. Up until that point, obviously, some things have changed, and I'm not going to touch that without, obviously the picture has changed. But up until that point, and probably the week or two following, as more information was coming in, it appeared as though his primary objective was survival. The secondary objective was not to hurt particular individuals. He was planning to target members of the police department and likely government entities, likely not based on his own desires, but out of the need for the first two prongs. Now, would I call that an outright defection? No, because he's not fully aligned with Sanguine, but rather he was operating under the pressure of survival and the survival of those he loved.
Okay. Yeah, it's a difficult question to answer. I understand. Okay, so as you stated, Divine's safety was of utmost concern. Now that he was on the island since 8/11.
No,
So
he left the island on 8/11 that evening.
oh, he left the island, right? Okay,
Correct.
So
when
you had no.
he got on the Apache and was dropped off by the harbor north of the lighthouse.
Okay, so we knew that he was back on home soil.
Correct.
Okay.
He did go back at least once within that week, or like about a week later within that time span.
Okay. So I guess my question is, now that he's back on home, so what was the objective regarding Divine? Was it to get him in custody? Was it to arrest the guy? And
that was a decision that was left for high command.
Okay.
And specifically the commissioners. There was still I'm not privy to all that. I know it was like an open question of which there was sort of there really wasn't a conclusion to, at least not that one that I would aware of. If I had to, speculate a bit based on the many conversations that went on, it was desirable, but it was not the highest of priorities, especially given the potential war that was being drummed up.
Okay. All right. So if everybody's all right, I'm going to move on from the Divine questions, and I think the last few questions should be hopefully pretty short and sweet. But that depends. Any objections to that?
All right.
No objections.
Nope.
Okay. I guess I'm not quite sure the date that you were suspended, Brian, but just to ensure everything's gone smoothly, have you, in any capacity while suspended, acted as a police officer?
While suspended?
Yes.
There was some tasks that Commissioner Axel ordered me to conduct, specifically revolving around managing loose ends with the investigative unit.
Were those the same loose ends you asked me about when I suspended you?
You're going to have to be more specific.
When I suspended you, you said I got some loose ends to tie up to do with MCU. Can I have some time to do that? Is that the same loose ends or?
Yeah. So kind of. It was last Saturday when I was suspended. I believe it was a hour and 15 minutes before tsunami. I asked, well, before I am suspended, can I make sure that I can divulge everything that I've learned up until now over to the MCU so they can operate appropriately? Given the looming dangers of Divine, the suspicion that he's likely going to start bombing targets, attacking individuals, things surrounding the threats being made by individuals sanguine, and following that, also making sure that the integrity of the investigative unit could continue given these looming threats. I was told that I could not, but I needed to simply delegate, which, quite frankly, I, with all due respect, Dark, I took that as kind of a slap in the face to not just myself but also the unit and the sanctity and safety of the state. However, I was agreeable as it was an order. I divulged as much as I could to Aurora, who was the only unit that was available at that stage in time. And in addition, due to circumstances, Bobby not having interest in taking such a position, and her being the only one available, email or on duty, the unit was held.
I'll be back in a sec. Hold on.
The senator was to take hold. Following this situation, Axel told me that even while I'm suspended, I need to fix this all, appoint someone, and make sure that the unit continues operation. And so anything that occurred was limited to that, specifically the conversation with Luca taking hold of the unit, with Malton acting as the commanding presence. To answer the question, I did it only and simply within the scope of what I was ordered to do by Axel.
Sorry, I'm back. Sorry about that. Okay. Yeah. Sorry about that. All right. So to clarify, can you just the orders that Axel gave you were to tie up loose ends?
Yes. In fact, he ordered a lot more than that. He wanted me to start writing reports, get documents together, a whole
I heard
slew
someone
of
screaming,
things that
chat,
were
and I had to go
rather
check on Corky.
undefined in nature. The definitive things were ensuring that there was some form of interim leadership, and he also wanted me to figure out what was going on with the DOJ not signing things.
Everything's all right.
As there was a lot of complaints coming from the detectives that, number one, none of them were being approached about anything that they had worked on over those past couple of weeks, what we had found over at Sanguine. They were getting a lot of complaints, people shitting on MCU on Twitter and whatnot, information that should have been left within the halls of Mission Row PD leaking out to TJ Walker, be it about myself, be it about the unit, be it about why did we go there, be it what did we find. And that pressure continued to loom. Warrants weren't being signed, DOJ talking shit about them, and they're being left having conducted one of the most impressive series of weeks I think that this department has ever seen, and they're pretty much being left in a room in the dark. So that having reached Axel, he wanted me to fix it, Brian, and I complied.
Did he unsuspend you or? or no?
In a similar fashion to what happened to me, yes, a day's mix Thursday question mark, or was that yesterday? Yesterday? Similar
I think,
to the
yeah.
action that Svensson had me fulfill.
Right. Okay. Okay. So initially, when I suspended you, you'd appointed Senator Davis as the director of MCU. Was that not
Correct.
was that correct, or was that what happened there?
Sorry, could you ask that again?
Right. So you appointed Senator Axel Davis as your replacement. But he's not the replacement. So what happened there? How did Axel get involved in the director of MCU?
Axel?
Did I say Axel
mean-
Davis?
Yeah, you did.
Senator Davis. Yeah, sorry.
Well, I'm sorry.
I'm
How
just going to
did?
answer. I think I could just answer
Sure.
this, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, because I think this is going to be
Sure.
like a 20-minute explanation. Senator Davis was, from what Brian said to me the other day, appointed because he didn't know who else, but there was a recommendation given to put Kovacic in front of MCU, but it wasn't like approved directly, so that's why Davis was in there as interim. But now it's Kovacic, and I guess Malton as well is like there to be the liaison to PD commands, because Kovacic can't see PD command stuff.
That is correct. I
Okay.
also pointed them to Norman Adams, given the, I don't want to get too political here, but given the landscape of what had been occurring with DOJ, Norman being effectively the second in command and available and having knowledge about enemy of the state and all the cleanup that was to be transpired afterwards, be it the asset situation, be it the, he was linked up with them. So there was enough direction that they could make forward progress.
Okay. All right. I got no more questions about that specifically. So I guess I'll go into the next question. And I will say that these questions are not coming out of thin air. They've always got something behind them. So, I guess my question for you, Brian, is in the chain of command of MCU, who's above the director?
Well, it was the commissioner's office, and that was put into place by both Commissioner Soze at the time and Deputy Commissioner Sam Bass. It was per a discussion we had on the rooftop and a condition that I made when they requested me to take on the task. Subsequently, it was also added to the SOPs. Should be stated there on the top, which I then, sent to everybody for a review. Now, I will say that I myself have been rather confused and have not been given any other form of inference that it would be otherwise until I would say the week of the Sanguine situation where all the communication lines came into question, where, in my opinion, I think maybe part of that confusion came in with Axel coming into play after Sam Bass's death. And I think perhaps during that vacuum time, without any sort of like written alternative, any sort of directive given to me, all of a sudden the narrative started to spin that we report to high command. If y'all want to know the reason why it was under the commissioner's office, it was to solve the problem of units who are working on investigations that can span months or weeks, for there to be a unified directive so that what we are working on is coming from the commissioner. This is something that Soze wanted, and it's something that Sam Bass continued to adhere to. was a bit of a formula shift, I would say, in the last 2 weeks, and it's left me very confused. And I don't have any personal I don't feel personally slighted in any way, but rather it makes it very confusing in terms of how we're supposed to operate.
So to clarify, I guess in this rooftop conversation, you added the condition that you want to report to the commissioner's office and not high command.
It was a concern, and Soze wanted it that way. There's a lot of additional context that I don't want to share here. Not because I can't, but it is, well, how do I put? There's a lot of reasons that Soze wanted it that way.
Right, okay.
And I think it was in order to ensure that the direction of the MCU and the investigations were in line with a much broader vision.
Interesting. Okay. So I guess a follow-up question was that I've been informed that there was, I think we've seen one of them. There was high command summary reports of the MCU, I guess, active cases and stuff. Were they
Sure.
intended for high command?
Yeah. So very early on, I mean, a broad. So the intent of the MCU. Obviously, we have investigations, right? Investigations are always going to exist. I know there was a lot of. I was made privy to there being a lot of desire for independent investigative units. There's a lot of contention around that. I'm not privy to all the discussions. I understand that. I'm only aware that they were a concern. And a part of my sort of like design of how MCU would function was we didn't want other officers or other, let's just say, we didn't want to make it feel like if you're not a detective, you can't investigate. At the end of the day, we need to be feeding back to the department, whether it's legislative changes, whether it's legal changes, whether it's like information that can be digestible, to be fed back to the PD. Be it something as simple as, why do we take a laptop? What is the reason for it? What is the argument you can present in court as like a patrol officer or someone else? Now, a part of that effort to ensure that there was no that everyone was kept in the loop. I created a system of executive summaries that were to be updated on a weekly basis. And in turn, those executive summaries would be rolled up into a monthly, which would show number of hours, every case that we're working on, what the summary is, what the status is, who's working on it, and finally our active cases so that they would be available to command and hire. I believe the first one was issued back in June, and the second one was sent to the commissioner the end of July, the July one. While I was over in, I was on a little business trip, so it was sent his way once it was culminated, and that was also distributed. And then obviously the month of August is probably ready, but I don't know since I've been suspended in that time period, and then we had the.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So I guess I don't know whether I can't remember whether the one you sent to the commissioner made it to us, but I'm glad to hear that it was actually coming our way.
Oh yeah, I mean 100%. I mean, transparency has been a big part of what I think we've had failures in the past. Now, I'm not going to say that there hasn't been communication gaps, because clearly there has been. I mean, if even the question of like, do we report to high command or do we report to the commissioner's office, the fact that that's sort of a contention point is concerning. I don't know what the solution to that is, but clearly there's, I don't know. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. The only last question I have, which kind of me concerning, I don't want to. I'm not trying to imply anything here, but I'm going to ask the question. As I'm
Sure.
sure you're aware, Kiki Pendragon was shot. I don't know whether it was last night or the night before, by Johnny Devine, and
I'm aware.
yeah. And
Did
Miss
I
Pen-
order a hit?
No. I'm not asking that question. I'm asking the question that Kiki has told me that you had called her sometime prior. I'm not exactly sure on the time frame, and said that she was going to receive a gift within 24 hours. What was that gift?
I don't remember, to be honest. I think I was going to give her some information that she was going to find valuable. Not PD related, though. And that's assuming I even said that. I remember calling her over something, but I don't remember what the context of that call was. Did she mention what else the context was?
I think it was small talk, really. I think that's what she mentioned. What was the information you were going to give her?
It probably was just small talk. Trying to remember. I believe this was like 3 days ago.
Oh, Siri.
Yeah, I don't remember. I think it was a very short phone call, like 3 to 4 minutes. There was something in revolving around Kiki that had popped up, unrelated to any of this.
Oh, all right. Fair enough. Wanted to get that out of the way. Okay. I don't have any more questions. Anybody else?
One thing I do want to state, and I think this is very important given how much has been missed between MCU's functionality and some of that information not going around. Everything that the only case that we have taken on our own behest has been the Sam Bass bombing. The unit, the individuals in it, have put in hundreds of hours, hundreds. Cases that they have been told they need to work on. Those choices were not even mine to make. And I will say that everyone in that unit, well, the vast majority, did so to the best of their ability, knowing full well that the outcome of those cases may not be may not lead to a guilty plea, but they knew at the end of that door that they were functioning as police officers should, which is having evidence and a argument that goes beyond probable cause. And that if that led to more clarity in the laws they were pushing, it led to more clarity as to the tools that they needed, or the various legislative suggestions that some of which have already passed being pushed up to the Senate. And I do believe that regardless of what the outcome is with me, quite frankly, I'm not really concerned about that. Do I want to work in this department? Probably. However,
Probably.
I don't want their work to be undershadowed. And I do find it unfortunate that they were not approached at the end of the war to ask them what had transpired, and that some of this, yeah. So whatever happens, I hope they continue to be supported and supported more than they have been.
Yeah, that you've nothing to be concerned about when it comes to the detectives. I'm sure everybody on this panel is very aware of all the hard work that you and them have put in. But that to put it bluntly, we've got no questions about the professional work that you guys have put in.
They should have been approached, and they should not have been left in the dark.
About what?
About the status and their concerns. As far as many of them, they've been left they were left in the dark for days, and they don't deserve that.
about you, or about something else?
Everything.
Well, I think that's because we were also in the dark and trying to figure out what was going on.
Yeah, I'll be honest.
I understand.
You
I
saying
don't know
that?
what the solution is, but I think it was important to say.
Yeah. To be blunt with you, and I won't speak for the rest of High Command. I don't know what they had to be left in the dark about, really. Like I don't know whether yeah, that's just me being honest. If they had come and asked me, I'm very transparent. I wasn't hiding the fact that you were suspended, so if they wanted to ask questions about that, I would have been very open about it. Um, yeah, so I guess to finish this off, if nobody has any questions, I'll ask you the same question I started with, Brian. Have you got any questions, comments, or concerns for us other than, just keeping MCU in mind?
Yeah. Did anyone? Yeah. I guess my first question would be, was everyone here aware that we operated a question mark under the commissioner's office?
And I didn't know that.
Yeah, me neither. I did check the SOPs and it says that you are under the state commissioner's office, but to me that's like
Were the
like-
SOPs reviewed when they were sent out for review?
yes, the SOPs were reviewed.
Who could I see a show of hands who reviewed them?
No, that's not for you to ask.
I understand.
I was under the assumption like every single sub department, so leader of the HVTU, my chain of command would be if I have an issue for HVTU or want to bring something up, I was told go straight to Bass, don't go through high command. However, I wouldn't operate without like the knowledge of high command knowing what's going on. And I think that's where the miscommunication was. It's like high command is still in the chain of command, but for HVTU related issues, and I'm sure the same for MCU, then you could just go straight to the commissioner's office because they're kind of like your bosses at the end of the day. But that doesn't mean that you just get to operate without high command.
Of course. And the reason I asked the question is more trying to figure out how we even got to this.
Yeah.
But because it like I said, it's kind of taken a lot of us aback for a number of reasons.
I don't think anybody is expecting MCU or any sub department to go to high command and ask for permission for every single thing. It's more of like just being kept in the loop and having that communication line open, and high command being aware and privy to all the information that's going on, and it being open and available to them. Correct me if I'm wrong, anybody else on our side of the table.
I think that issue has already been addressed, and we realized there was an issue, and now we have access to things that we were hoping to have access to, so that we, don't run into this problem again where we're all just wondering what the heck's going on because we can't all see each other every day. I think, honestly, I think that has been addressed. And I do think it was an issue before, but I don't think it was in specific anyone's fault. I think it was just kind of a result of the system that we set up, and then we didn't realize exactly how big of an issue it was because some of you guys didn't know even to ask what was going on because you didn't know something was going on.
Well,
And that-
yeah. Sorry.
That just is what it is, and it's been resolved.
The I was it was told to me that if I were to get into the chairman suggested that with the EMS situation, I
Who is
should
that back
have.
there?
So
I'm about to find
janitor.
out.
Well, to be blunt, it's not a MCU panel anyway, so
I
we're not really
understand.
going into the inner workings of MCU and how they're beholden because it's not relevant. So we can move on.
I'll just wait for him to. I'm about to say something they probably don't want to hear.
Triple time. Putting a post-it note saying no one can come down.
It was relayed to me by the chairman that with the EMS situation, I should have held up the senator. Is that is that something I should have done?
You should have held up.
What?
What
He
do you mean by held
suggested I
up?
put a gun in his mouth and held up the senator when he ordered me to work with him on this EMS bomb situation.
We're not answering that. We're here to review your actions. We'll convene and what we unless there's any more questions for him, then we'll probably just have you leave the room, you across the hall, and we'll discuss, and then we'll bring you back in when we're ready.
Okay. All right. Sounds good.
Unless anyone has any more questions, Dart,
I
Reed,
I
Stubble.
actually have a question.
Yeah, all right.
Brian, given everything that you've learned about and everything that you've heard people spreading rumors about and the precarious situation that the city is in right now because of everything that's been just spewed mindlessly, what do you think our decision should be today about you?
Good question.
When I walked into this room, I wasn't sure if I was going to put my gun and badge on the table. But instead, I decided that for the sake of transparency, I should answer each and every question to the best of my ability. Not for any other reason than because I think you are owed an explanation, because I think communication has been bad and decisions over the course of many months, not any of y'all's fault. I think just because of how things are structured, that there's a lot of answers that y'all deserve. If you believe that I work in the best interest for the state and for the government, then only then should you allow me to continue to operate. However, if you on this panel are against the government, and I want to be very specific, if you want to press charges or oust Senator Davis, that's one thing. But if it's the entirety of the Senate and the government, I am not your man.
That didn't answer anything. You're saying like if we're patriots, we should keep you, and if we're like traitors to the state, we should fire you. That is a wild answer to that question, Brian.
I think I could be a little bit more specific.
Wasn't the question like, what do you think we should do to you? And you were like, maybe we can get a little
Perhaps
condensed
it
version.
is. Yeah, sure. I believe that when I took my oath, it's to serve and protect, and that's just not that's not just the civilians of the city, but also the
EMS?
order that has been placed by the system in place. Now, I am going to be rather honest. I think if I'm ever going to be given an order to go against the government in and of itself, it's just not.
Brian, come on, man. No one's asking you to do that. We're asking. I mean, and that's Tessa. I don't want to speak for Tessa here, but I don't think that's like anywhere near the conversation that's being had. There's no perspective. We need you to ride against the state type thing here. It was very direct. What do you, given all the context, what do you think should happen to you?
I think maybe a better question is, what do you want to happen to you?
I'm rather fulfilled with everything that I've done thus far. If you think I can be an asset to the department
What did he say?
and for the state, only then should we keep me on.
Okay, so Dark is going to love this answer, but if you're not going to answer the
Mhm.
question, we're just going to say, I mean, like, you're these are such conditional answers. I think what I would like to hear is,
Sure.
what do you think should happen to you? Not, I took an oath, and then this oath states that I should uphold the no. Like, what do you think should happen to you, given all the context? Should you have a job here? Do you want to have a job here? No, none of the patriotism speeches, please.
I don't think it's patriotic, sir. I'm not intending it to be. But I hope you understand that there's a lot of questions in this atmosphere we have today.
Okay, so you're not answering. You're launching into it again.
I don't know. I don't know the
There
answer
you go.
to that.
That's an answer. In itself, that's an answer. The best one I've gotten. So.
That was really all I had.
All right.
Anyone else?
Well, I've heard it all.
Nah, come on. Yeah, I'm all right. Heard what I need to
All
hear.
right.
Yeah, I'm good.
I'll be outside.
Jesus, man. What was that answer?
That's about what I was expecting.
Yeah, I mean, he's just launched it into.
I was just curious what his thoughts were on it.
It's very Brian not to give a direct answer and to launch into some patriotism speech.
Yeah. Yeah. I'll go make sure nobody's outside before we start talking about this.
All right.
I'm just gonna grab a quick drink of water. Does anybody want anything? I'll just be
I'm good.
2 minutes.
No, I'm good.
All right, I'm gonna grab a quick drink of water, chat. I'm back in 2 secs. That went well. Did it? I don't know.
No problem. Have a good one.
let's get you a new one. But try not to lose it.
I'm back. Sorry about that. So how do we want to do this? Really? Do we want to go over everything and kind of give our opinion on it, or do we just want to come out?
Yeah,
Okay, I can.
Yeah.
I've got a statement from Snow.
Oh
He
yes,
sent it to
I
everyone
also
else.
have that.
Oh, that'd be good.
Yeah, he wanted
Is he,
to.
do you want to read it? I can read it.
Yeah, you read it if you don't mind.
Oh, and if you read it, you need to do it in a British accent because it's Snow.
I'm not doing that.
Good.
I was born in America. It's my right to not respect the British.
All right.
Unnecessary, but okay.
Okay. From the desk of Lieutenant Trooper Jackie Snow, head of the San Andreas State Police. There's a date attached to it for today. Sorry, I might have to pause if you cough or stuff. But anyway, over the past week or so, I've been meeting with various members of UPD, as well as a couple of people currently residing as enemies of the state in Bolingbrook Penitentiary to get a full picture of the battle. After I was shot down in my B-11, in this statement, I'll be giving my opinion as the commanding officer of the San Andreas State Police. Please keep in mind there are some that I haven't had the chance to speak to, and therefore do not have all the information I wanted.
Pause, champ.
My mindset with the war will differ from the other officers involved in the conflict between San Andreas and Sanguine because of my military background, along with Sheriff Svensson, Trooper Raven, Sergeant Kozlov, and NATO. During my time in the military, I learned a lot from the successes and failures of our operations and still try to apply those learnings to my police work today. The failures of our operations revolved around the moral compass of NATO's forces led by a vindictive and cruel general who was not a person for the people, nor did he really seem to care about them. Part of our orders were to control an area that had been inundated by rebel forces. Part of their tactics involved mixing their forces and base of operations amongst civilians. It was close to the end of our occupation when word came from intelligence about a stronghold and the next closest town where some of the remaining rebels were held up. Orders came down from on top that all of our forces were deploy, surround the location, and hit with everything we had from land and air units. Orders were to level the town despite all the knowledge of civilians being in extremely close proximity to our targets. The orders were given, and I'll be honest, questions were asked about the moral compass of the order. I, as Major General, this is Jackie Snow again, in this operation, was in a position to question the order given by my general. The only explanation